Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jordan back again, doing just a quick video, just about my thoughts on the reports of just some of the players we're linked with for this summer and the overall rebuild as a whole. Just giving you my thoughts and opinion on the matter what I think could potentially happen. Please like and share the video if you enjoyed, and just let me know your thoughts in the comments and everything below. A lot of reports going on, especially over the international break, with really nothing going on about who Liverpool are linked with. Everything was very heavily centered around, obviously, Jude Bellingham, just because that's the biggest name that we've been linked with for the longest time. There was a report, I can't remember the gentleman's name, excuse me, but I know it was reported. LFC speaking with an agent, there was an interview that went out that everything was well known that Liverpool had pretty much submitted a bid for Jude Bellingham for around 100 million euros. I think the quote was going around saying that for initial bid. Some reports were saying that Dortmund had pretty much accepted it and the deal was done. And they're just kind of waiting to announce it from there. Like I shared with you in my other video, I said you're going to start hearing a lot of different things retaining to Jude and things like that. But for me, I always listen to the reports coming from Germany, and Germany, the reports are still Liverpool. If Bellingham decides to leave, Liverpool are the favorites to get him. That's never changed. It's never changed my opinion from there as well. Do I think we put a bid in for him? Possibly already. I definitely don't think it's been accepted already, because I think Dortmund are going to try and see if they can hold on to Jude for another year. They've already said reports that they're going to sit down with his dad next week and just kind of talk about his future and everything like that. So we'll see where it goes from there. But if they indicate that, say, hey, he wants to go back to England, then I guess they're really, the preference is Liverpool. That's when they're going to start negotiating with Liverpool and get everything situated from there. But there's also been reports about speaking about Mason Mount and things like that, and things like that as well. I think the fee they're quoted, Chelsea are looking for Mount is around £70 million. I think that's absolutely crazy for a guy that's in the last year of his contract. That 70 million shouldn't be talked about. The max I'd probably give for Mount would probably be like 50, 55. That's probably the max I give him. Even then, I think that's being a little generous. But that's kind of wild for 70 mil. But there's a lot of conflicting things with Mason Mount. Is he good enough for Liverpool? Things like that. I think Mason Mount is definitely good for Liverpool. I mean, from what I've seen of him, looks like he's more of that number 10/number 8, that box-to-box midfielder. High energy, can score you goals from midfield, which I think is very important. A guy can score from midfield. I think he does lack at times creativity, but I think the fact that he presses, especially high up the pitch, that enables that to kind of be able to move and find players once winning the ball back and things like that. But I also like Mount just because he's British as well. I think we also have to keep the homegrown quota in the back of our mind. But I think Mount's a very good player, because when he's in rhythm, man, he's top class. Obviously, Chelsea have been struggling this year, so I mean everybody looks crap playing for Chelsea right now. So I would take that with a pinch of salt. But yeah, for me, I like Mason Mount. I don't think that's a bad shout from there. Just not for 70 mil. Liverpool definitely have to get that price talked down if they are looking to get him and everything like that. So that's what's mostly been talked about in the links as far as midfield goes. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna try and play sporting director and look at everything that Liverpool have as far as outgoings, because that's gonna matter about the players that we're gonna bring in, and then we'll go away from there. So everyone is a little bit suspect of FSG and are they really going to back Klopp and everything like that. But looking at the hard cold truth, they don't have a choice but to focus on Liverpool this summer. Like there's just, if they don't buy anybody this summer, I think that'll be the nail in the coffin. I think you'll start seeing protests in the streets and things like that to get FSG out. I mean, and even as business people, even regardless if people feel like they don't understand football or don't care enough about football and things like that, and those are all fair points. These guys are smart business people. They're, what I mean, like not just smart business, like they're just smart guys in general. There's no way with them and talking about what Klopp was going on this season. that they're not going to invest in the squad. Like that to me, there's just no way. Absolutely no way. You can't go buy this for what? I think it was the fourth or fifth window in a row. Just no way. You're gonna have to spend big in this midfield to get Liverpool back to where they need to go. So I want to caveat that from here. FSG do need to spend money this summer and give Klopp the base. Now, when I say spend money, I don't mean by going out and splashing 300 million on the midfield or anything like that. I don't think it's, for me, it's never about the money you spend. It's about the player you're bringing in with that. So people are always saying we need to spend like Man City or an Arsenal and things like that. Cool, man. I never cared about how we spend the money. Well, I never cared about how much we spend. I cared about what we're spending money on. Who are we bringing in for the money we're paying? That's always been my deal. So if we're getting an Andy Robertson and Robertson only costs us $8 million, I don't really give a shit if we pay $8 million for him. We're getting Andy Robertson. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of where I'm at for that. People, it's like when we bought Virgil for 75. Oh, people were like, oh, that's a lot of money. I didn't care. I was like, dude, we're getting Virgil van Dijk. This guy at the time was literally one of the best center backs in the league, and we got him. So that's kind of how I look at it in terms of that there. But anyway, let's take a look at a breakdown of the outgoings that are coming on for Liverpool. So, players coming out. So we have, I want to say confirmed so far. We have 5 players that are confirmed of leaving, that we know are leaving for that. Me personally, I would let 9 players go from Liverpool this season. And then based on the players we're looking to bring in, I would look to probably bring in maybe 4 or 5 players to bring those players in. And then the next window, either the winter or the summer, we can look to add to that to bring more players in. Because, bringing in 9 players in one window is absolutely crazy. It disrupts the harmony. You're not going to be able to bet them all in. You do want to do everything in small patterns and things like that. So for the outgoings that I see happening for the summer, starting with the goalkeepers, Adrian's out of contract, so for me that's one check off the mat right there. Adrian's leaving, we all know that. Kelleher for me is one guy where, I don't know. Kelleher's at an age right now, I think he's 24, 25. The guy needs to be playing games, especially looking to help out Ireland qualify for the Euros coming up. I think he just needs to start getting into more rhythms now. Because I'm not sure if he's the starting goalkeeper or if he's one of the ones in their group, but Kelleher should definitely be a starter if he's not. Sorry, I don't really watch Ireland play a lot, so I can't really speak onto that. I think there's a possibility that he could leave. I think he might want to seek game time and everything like that. I think he's a good goalkeeper. And if that's kind of what his move is, man, I respect that. So for me, yes, we're definitely going to have to replace Kelleher within the squad. Don't have the slightest clue of what goalkeepers to bring in his spot. That's kind of for me for letting the scouts and things do their job to find another gem out there who can bring in and bet into the team to be a backup to Allison. Hopefully it's a similar quality to Kelleher, but for me right now I don't have a name in my mind, but I think those two will be leaving from there. In the defense, I think we all know that Nat Phillips is leaving. He was supposed to leave in January up until Virgil got hurt. Then they kind of stalled everything out from there because then obviously Konate was injured, and that just left us with Gomez and Matip, which history has shown you never want to do that, especially for Matip. We know that he picks up injuries all the time, and Joe Gomez has been shocking this season. Let's just be pretty frank about it. He's been absolutely terrible. So you just don't want to trust yourself with that. So fortunately, we had to keep Nat for the rest of the season. But I think we've let him know we're gonna find you. We're gonna let you move on this summer. And then another player that I think will leave too. I think it's definitely just like that because the center back and defender situation is unique. Let's start with the center backs because obviously I think Konate is nailed on. He's staying. He's not going anywhere. Joe Gomez, we know, is not going anywhere. He's not nailed on, but he's not going anywhere. Guy just signed a new long-term contract last summer. He's staying. Virgil's the one where you're kind of like, I don't know. He's not having a great season. I think there's questions about the injuries. I think he still has, 2 more years left on his contract. So kind of just looking at that, do we cash in on him and stuff like that? If we get a good deal, if we get a good bid in for Virgil really wants to go, I think the club should take a look at it. I really do. I think we have to start looking to get younger as a squad. That's the focus I'm looking at. We got to probably get 4 or 5 years younger, so that way we can compete for another 4 or 5 years. We got to start betting in some players and stuff like that. So for now, I would say keep Virgil. Even we can rotate him in with a new center back, because I think we do need to get another center back, especially with 2 leaving. We want to get the numbers back up in that one from there. And that just leaves for me Matip. I think Matip is going to be the one that goes. He's been here the longest. I think the guy only has another year left on his contract before it expires. So for me, it just makes sense to just let Matip go. Find another club. I think Joe Matip has been excellent for Liverpool. I think he'll be remembered fondly for everything, especially for me that 21-22 season where, dude was our best creator as well that season. Guy was doing some crazy runs. 18-19, I thought probably the back end of that season, man, he was playing better than Virgil van Dijk. And Virgil van Dijk was playing at a Ballon d'Or level that year. So that tells you how highly Matip was in those ratings and stuff like that. So those are 2 center backs I'm looking at probably leaving. So I do want him replaced with those. I know, Josko Gvardiol has been linked with Liverpool, as well as Randall Ndickia recently, who's been linked with us, the Eintracht Frankfurt center back. Both left-footed guys, both playing on the left-hand side of the defense. Both are capable of also playing at left back if need be, which I think is very, very good. To also help out Robbo and Tsimikas as well. Personally, just for what makes sense, I think Ndickia would be the move. He's on free transfer. He's 23 years old, French international. He looks really good. I've seen a couple of games of Eintracht Frankfurt this season. I really like Ndickia. I'm not gonna say here like I've watched him for years. Like I said, I've only probably watched 2 games. I've been playing with the 2 games I've watched. He's looked really solid. Tall, strong guy. Very mobile. I like that as well. So, and his injury record doesn't look too bad as well. I kind of looked him up before kind of speaking with that. So, I think he's the right move. Not saying that I don't like, Gvardiol. I think Gvardiol is a quality player, but spending $100 million, for a 20-year-old, it's just not that. I think financially that just doesn't make sense right now for what we need, especially when we know we need to overhaul the midfield. I think that's just too expensive to spend that on one player. In an area where we have the numbers, we have the quality, so we really just don't need to go all out in that area. So. For me, I think Ndickia is the right move for that. So I would love to see Liverpool try and push it out with them. I know Neil Jones from the Goal has recently squashed that rumor, but Fabrizio Romano has said that's not the case. Liverpool are interested in the player, so kind of wait and see for that. We all know that he's going on a free for summer, so there's a lot of clubs interested in him. I know Arsenal were looking at him not too long ago. So personally, for me, I think he's the player we should go for and everything like that. For right back, for Trent's position, people are saying we need to go out and buy another one to compete with Trent. Don't think so. We have Calvin Ramsey. I know he's hurt this summer, but he'll be back next summer, man. I think like that. I like Calvin Ramsey from a little bit I've seen of him. He looks like he can get stuck in. Likes to be on the ball. He's a big kid as well for his age. As well, so he looks physical. He'll definitely grow into his body a lot more. And I just want to see what he can do. I'm not just gonna say we need to buy we need to buy another player when we bought a right back last summer. So I think the right back position for me needs to just stay cool for right now, and we'll look at it at another time. And then the left back situation as well. Obviously, Robbo for me is still the starter. Tsimikas is a decent backup. I know there's talks about Tsimikas going to possibly Newcastle, are looking at him as a possible starter for them. I know Newcastle are up and coming, man. They'll pay you, but Liverpool, you've won trophies already. You can probably see what the rebuild's doing. If I'm Simicast, I'd probably at least stay another year at Liverpool before I'm trying to decide if I want to go or not. So, yeah, for me, I think I'm pretty set on the right back situation. Like I said, even if we get Ndicka as well, he can also help out with that spot as well. So the defense, I think we just need one new addition, just a center back, in my opinion, and everything else kind of sits out from there. Then we look at the hot topic, man, the midfield. I kind of spoke about it a little earlier. So the outgoings in midfield, we have Naby who's leaving, Ox who's leaving. I think I go back and forth with Milner every day. I like James Milner. I like having vets in the locker room, man, who can help, bring in these young guys because we're transitioning. We're bringing in younger players, so we need good pros for them to be an example to see. And none gets better than Jimmy Milner, in my opinion. Milner gets a lot of slack from people online and stuff like that, but every time I watch James Milner, man, he gives us about a 6 or 7 out of 10 performance every single time he plays. Like, Milner doesn't do anything wrong when he comes in on the pitch. He can deputize at fullback, either left or right. He can play in the middle. He can play out wide if you need him. Like, he's always he's always available. I think that's the one thing. He plays so many games because he's always available. That's the thing, and Klopp can depend on him. The other guys, Naby, Ox, you can't depend on those guys, so they're not going to play. I wouldn't play him either. It doesn't make no sense to play a guy who you better man try to give him rhythm, and then the 4th, 5th, or 6th game he gets hurt. Like, you're just always going backwards. So we go at it from there. But I get when folks are saying, let's give that spot to another youngster to embed him in and stuff like that. We can move Henderson into that Milner role, which I also agree with that. But today, I'm probably going to say Milner needs to go. But I swear tomorrow I'm probably going to be like, nope, we need to keep Milner for another year. So, but I'm going to add Milner to the to-go list on this one. And then another midfielder I think also needs to go is Fabinho. I would 1,000% put Fabinho on the market. I would go to Fabinho and tell his agent, hey, man, start shopping around, man, because you're going to have to start holding bench on the field. And if you're okay with that, cool. Which I don't think if a guy like Fabinho is 28, probably looking to play in the next Copa America or World Cup coming up in the States in a few years, which he'll only be, 32 at that World Cup. So it doesn't really make sense. 32 or 31, one of those things right there. So it doesn't make sense for him to, be on the bench. So, yeah, I would sell for Fab, man. Fab for me, in the last 18 to 24 months, man, I've really been sussing Fabinho out. He's committing more fouls recently than any other time in his career. Usually as a player, I'm not a player that played at a super high level or anything like that, but I was pretty versatile when I was younger. I could play out wide, I could play in midfield, even though I was more of an attacker, but I understood what you're holding, but I understood what a midfielder does as a whole. And I also played as a forward and also played at fullback at times as well. So I pretty much played everywhere on the pitch. The only place I really never played was at center back because I'm not a tall guy. I'm only 5'7", so not really a big guy as it is. But when you start committing fouls, it's because you're late to the ball, if that makes sense. So you can't get to the ball first, and that's how you start committing fouls. And Fabinho does it all the time. He makes stupid fouls, gets stupid yellow cards at times. And he's just slow. Like, I literally see players not even at his level just walking past him, man. It's so frustrating to watch sometimes. And it's not just been happening this season, man. It happened last season as well. It just got covered up a lot of the times. So in my opinion, Fab for me needs to go. He's just not of the level anymore, man. He's not quick enough to play in the Premier League. He's just not. I think if he goes to a team like in Italy, like for a Juve, Inter, Milan, Fiorentina, I'm not going to disrespect him for Fiorentina. I think Fiorentina is kind of way down. But you know what I mean? Like a Lazio, somewhere like that. I think he'll flourish, man. I think you'll see the best Fabinho come back, and people are going to look back like, why do we get rid of him? And I'm going to just be like, because he's still a quality player. He's just not good enough to play in the Premier League anymore. That's just the bottom line. He's not good enough to play for Liverpool. As far as physically goes, I think he's just like that. I think he's just too slow for the league right now. So I think we can get a bid around 35, 40 million for him. I know we paid about 40 million for him, so I think we can get our money back for him. I would 100% sell Fab, and I would go out and get me another holding midfielder. That's kind of my idea, how that goes from there. Because I think next season Henderson will start playing more of that holding role. The box-to-box thing for me for Hendo's done. He can't do it, but I think he can do the deep line role, just because I think he is going to. I think we are going to change formations next season, just based on the players that we're buying. I think we're going to be a little more flexible, switching from a 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1. We're going to start seeing that a lot more, in my opinion, going on from there. So those are the outgoings coming from here. So obviously the incomings from here. I still think Bellingham is coming to Liverpool. People might think I'm crazy, but I think he is. I think Bellingham 100% is coming to Liverpool next season. Just based on the talks, I think Mount potentially is coming to Liverpool as well. I'm probably like 60-40 on that one, as well. 60% like that he is coming, 40% like he might still stay at Chelsea, as well. I know, but the reason why I'm saying more 60 because most players don't change their agents if they're gonna stay where they are. Like if you change your agent, you're looking for a move 9 times out of 10. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for that. And then the third one, there's some different options that we can take depending on how you look at it. Yuri Tillemans is going to be available on a free from Leicester. I'm not Yuri Tillemans' biggest fan. I think, if this was like 2019, I'd be all over it. But, he's just kind of really started teetering down on the pecking order for players wanted over the last few years. Don't know why, but every time I see him play too, he just looks like he gets gassed after like 25, 30 minutes. Not sure what's up with that. So, but as a squad player, man, I think he would do a job for us as well. Coming on the bench, helping us, with the creative part of things. If we need somebody creative, if we need someone to hold the ball, he can do that as well. I think Tillemans can offer a good bit for us. So I'm not going to rule that one out, especially if you can get him for free. We've seen Liverpool do moves like this all the time. So I'm going to keep my eyes out for that one. And then we go to Wolves for 2 players potentially, Mateus Nunes and Ruben Neves from there, because I think Wolves might be getting relegated, to be honest with you. I think they are, and they've got some quality players who I think we can get a good deal for if they get relegated. Obviously, Mateus Nunes just went there, which if we buy him and they said that was the plan, I would be like, that is probably the craziest thing I've ever heard. Why didn't you just get him last summer if you knew you wanted him when he was available? So we're not really going to dive into that one because it doesn't make any sense. But Ruben Neves would make for one because, like I said, I would sell Fabinho. So if you can get Ruben Neves to come in there and replace him, and get him for what, 40 mil? I mean, good business in my opinion. Good swap and everything like that. So for me, that makes sense. But obviously, I know we also heard a report from, or I guess a Twitch conversation that our good boy Jose Enrique had with some fans about Ryan Gravenberch, who recently, last summer, went to Bayern Munich for not a big money move, but for a decent money move last summer. When I heard that, I started really thinking about, okay, how would he fit in the team? Because ideally, he's not a strong holding midfielder, but he does sit deep and he does kind of play more of that box-to-box role. But he's got the physical traits to be a very good holding midfielder in the Premier League. The guy's, 6'2", 6'3", long. He kind of has a game that reminds me of Patrick Vieira for Arsenal many years ago. I'm not saying that he is Vieira's level. I'm just saying they share similar characteristics. With Vieira was a little bit more of a tough tackler, though. I don't think Gravenberch is that, but I think that can be learned in your game, especially coming to the Premier League. Like, you just have to add that little bit of nastiness to your game with that. But he's young. He's playing in Germany right now, so Bellingham has kind of played with him already. I think that may be one of the things that has attracted to him. I think he can play that 6 pretty well, man, to be honest with you. The Gravenberch one for me is not a bad shout from there. But not only that, he can also carry the ball as well. So, I mean, he can run past players. He seems very press resistant from some of the highlights that I've seen from him. Like I said, I haven't watched a ton of him. Even at Bayern, I watch Bayern games all the time, but he doesn't really play a lot, especially the games I watch. But from the highlights I see on YouTube and things like that, he looks very press resistant. Likes to drive the ball forward. He's got a good pass on him as well. So out of the ones that are named there between Mateus Nunes, Neves, and Gravenberch, I think for a long-term play, I think Gravenberch is a good shout. Honestly, from there, my gut's probably telling me it's probably gonna be more like Mateus Nunes or Ruben Neves that come in, but I think the outsider one definitely for me is Gravenberch. I think that's solid there to be the third midfielder coming in with Bellingham and Mount as well. So I think that's actually a pretty good midfield transfer window, to be honest with you. Bellingham, Mount, and Gravenberch is pretty solid. And then for the forward line, Bobby Firmino's leaving. Sad news when I heard Bobby was leaving, man. Absolutely sad. Bobby's one of my favorite players at Liverpool. Has been for, pretty much since he came in back in 2015. But I understand it. New challenge, new way. You've been in England pretty much 8 years now. It's, pretty much time to go experience something different. But that's why we kind of brought in Gakpo and everything like that. So, in my opinion, I don't think we need to bring in another forward player. I think our forward line, just our forward squad with Jota, Diaz, Salah, Gakpo, and then you can add Carvalho and Elliott into that mix as well. I mean, that's seven players right there in our forward line. I think that's perfect. 7 players fighting for 3 spots. I'm good with that. So that's kind of how it's going from there. So now we're looking at kind of like the starting lineup, kind of what it looks like from there. Obviously, all this is present on preseason. How players look, how they feel during preseason, that's kind of how you can pick out what your lineup's going to be coming out. But on paper, man, I like, the back line. Obviously, Alisson in goal, Trent at right back, Konate. I'm going to say Virgil for now, but if we get Ndicka, I would really be like, hey, Virgil, you got to continue playing at a high level. Otherwise, this kid who's hungry is going to take your spot. And then you have Rubbo in the back as well. Then in your midfield, like I said, I would play a base of 2 back there to kind of help out the defense. So then you have Bellingham on the right. I would start with Henderson on that left-hand side, and then I'll probably switch him with. Actually, no, I would do Bellingham on the right, Thiago on the right. I would still stick with Thiago as well, so that way he's kind of used to kind of how Bayern used to play when he was there. That way he can play that role for very, very well. And Thiago can really, dictate the play, especially when he has a guy with legs who can run for him, especially when he used to play with Kimmich or Goretzka back at Bayern from there. So that's how we go from there. And then the one playing further forward from him would be, depending on preseason, it could be either Gakpo or it could be Mason Mount in that position. In that area, that's kind of where I see it going from there. And then obviously on the left, we have Luis Diaz, who can also rotate with Gakpo or Nunes. On the right, we have Mo Salah, who can also rotate with Harvey Elliott. I'm sorry, not Nunes, Carvalho on that side, excuse me. And then you have Elliott, who can switch out with Mo Salah on that side to be his backup. And then up front, you have Darwin Nunez, we can also swap out with Jota as well. Guys, on paper, man, I think that's a badass starting lineup, dude. That team's got everything. It's got goals, it's got speed, it's got strength, it's got technique. That'd be a tough team to beat. And not only that, but look at the front 4 positions. They've got goals in them. Mason Mount can score goals. Gakpo can score goals. Diaz can score goals. Salah, we always know, is dangerous goal scorer. Diaz, and you can swap him out with Carvalho, Elliott, things like that. And then Gravenberch can come in for Jude, and he can also come in for Thiago. Then you if we end up getting Tielemans or Nunes or any of those players, it's all interchangeable. It'll go back to the time where you're like, I don't know who's going to start, but they're all going to look good for each other. So that's how I would do it for me. That's the team I would build. I would probably bring in those 4 players right there in Ndicka, Gravenberch, Mount, and Bellingham. That's the 4 I would go with from there. Let me know y'all's thoughts. Let me know if I'm just way off the mark or if you kind of see where I'm coming from there. Because even if, like I said, those players are more suited for 4-2-3-1. But if you ever need to go back to a 4-3-3, those guys can play a 4-3-3. If you need to go play a flat out old school 4-4-2, those players can play a flat out 4-4-2. So I think they're all interchangeable from that, especially if you put Gravenberch and Bellingham together. Oof, that 4-4-2 would be nasty looking. But let me know your guys' thoughts for that. Like and share the video again. Yeah, talk to y'all soon.